proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman Smith, Ranking Member Baz, and members of subcommittee for this opportunity. I must say my presence here is historic, and I'm beyond honored for the opportunity to speak before you. Today, I acknowledge the suffering of many other Ethiopians like the Amharas. I'm here to speak about 3 generations of pain, agony, political oppression against the Oromo people. My father saw massacre. My grandfather saw massacre. My father and uncle served in prison camp, as do my younger brother and sisters today. This is not just the story of my family, rather the story of Oromo, who constitute over 40% of Ethiopian population and occupy the most productive land. Oromia is the backbone of Ethiopian economy, with the key export like coffee, gold, other precious mineral, and yet Oromos are the most politically, socially, economically marginalized people. I must also acknowledge that while hundreds better qualified than I can be here today, I bring a unique voice. To begin with, I'm a follower of Awak Ifena, the much less known indigenous Oromo religion. I'm also a woman, the primary victim of human rights violation you often never hear about. And I represent a generation that knows and understands and lived in 2 different worlds, my birthplace and America, land of opportunity. To speak the truth, I highly doubt my own people, for whom I'm fighting for day and night, will value me equal to my own brother, who cares much less about them. It is with this understanding that not only the American value interest in the region, but believe it is necessary that the American mission succeed, because it is the only voice for women like me. Therefore, I want to assure this House that the American interest is my interest and the interest of so many Oromos. 26 years ago, in June 1991, Secretary Assistant Herman Khan testified in front of House Foreign Affairs, and he said, "No democracy, no support." For 26 years, Ethiopia has become an open prison for so many Ethiopians, particularly Oromos, who make the overwhelming majority of the prison population. Today, 26 years later, under the code name of state of emergency, a husband watches his wife and daughter get raped, son taken away or killed. Even though I myself have lived under this terror and being watched and beaten by this government, what is new is the use of this new term, the state of emergency, which allows to shut off the only means of communication to the outside world. In Ethiopia, as others before me have said, all sorts of media is either banned or greatly curtailed. Social media is punishable by up to 5 years. 5 years in jail. All right organization banned. Request by UN for independent investigation denied. US concern ignored. Moreover, although as early as January 2016, the Ethiopian government admitted to the use of excessive force, no single individuals have been brought to justice. Now, 2 years later, nothing has changed except the implementation of the most brutal system of killing, silencing innocent people under the cover of martial law. For Oromos, the torture is unending, even as Tirfe, Ethiopia. It follows them wherever they go in the region. As a proud partner to the US war on terror, Ethiopia's government can go to Kenya, Somalia, Sudan, Yemen, even as far as Saudi Arabia, and bring back those who they consider a threat to their power. While I understand the need for a strong, dependable partner in volatile region too close to extremism, reliance on minority-dominated government hailing from merely 6% of the population cannot be sustainable, rather will endanger the American interest. A country of 100 million people by 82 different ethnic groups cannot survive a fake democracy or federalism. Mr. Chairman, a blind support of this government can only extend what is inevitable. If what we seek is a united democratic nation where all people have equal opportunity as a human being, we must ask for greater accountability and push for real, tangible action. Certainly, the introduction of House Resolution 128 is a great start. While I thank the leadership behind it and those all who co-sponsored it, I ask you and I beg you to reach out to your colleague, to co-sponsor, to speak before it's too late. The window of opportunity closes with each passing day, with each passing lives murdered at the hand of this government. We know in no democratic country, let alone Ethiopia, can a ruling party win an election by 100%. We should not ignore the young people's aspiration for democracy and justice, who make up 50% of the entire population. We must not leave Ethiopia's fate to the current government or leave it up to them to investigate into its own gross human rights violation documented by United States government. Ethiopia's ruling party does not represent the country's future, but the past. A regime that kills its own people cannot be a regional key player for peace or stability. For me, I speak about this knowing I'm putting myself, my families who still live there, and those who I mentor in a great danger. I choose to speak because these are not history, rather testimony of my own personal experience for which I'm ready to accept all its sacrifices. Thank you again for your commitment in promoting democracy, peace, justice, and your relentless effort to speak on human rights violation in Ethiopia. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Esteemed members of the Subcommittee on Africa, on behalf of the organization I represent, Amhara Association of America, Ethiopian Americans across this country, and all Ethiopians who have suffered the unconscionable brutality at the hands of the Tigray People's Liberation Front, the ruling party of Ethiopia, I want to thank you for holding this hearing and bringing awareness to a humanitarian crisis that has been unfolding before us for the past 26 years. The subject of today's hearing, democracy under threat in Ethiopia, is a misnomer in many ways, since democracy has never existed under this current Ethiopian government. Since the establishment of Tigray People's Liberation Front in their 1976 manifesto, they labeled their struggle as anti-Amhara oppressors. And in order to achieve their struggle, they must destroy the old and the dominant Amhara culture, which represents over 30% of the Ethiopian population, and replace it by a new and revolutionary culture. It is only through this that they may be able to secede from Ethiopia and establish the Republic of Tigray. The TPLF-led government has forcefully annexed historical Amhara lands of Wolkait, Tegede, Humara, Tsellemt, and Raya Azebo to Tigray. Under the late Prime Minister Meles Zenawi, the TPLF transferred thousands of Tigray settlers to the annexed Amhara land in an attempt to change the demographic makeup of the region. As the ruling party of Ethiopia, TPLF has been and continues to commit ethnic cleansing on the Amhara people in Wolkait. Their native tongue, Amharic, is suppressed. Widespread discrimination, killing, arrest, torture, and confiscation of land led to many of the ethnic Amhara people in this region escaping to Gondar City, other regions of Ethiopia, and foreign countries for survival. In 2015, under the guidance of the Ethiopian Constitution's covenants, the Amhara people organized themselves and petitioned the Ethiopian government to have the Wolkait region to rejoin the Amhara state. The response by TPLF was to kidnap the officers of the Wolkait Amhara Identity Committee in the middle of the night in 2016 and charge them with terrorism. These officers were named in a joint letter to the UN Human Rights Council by 15 human rights organizations, including Human Rights Watch and Amnesty International. They are Colonel Demek Azodu, who is the face of the Amhara resistance, Getachew Ademe, Atalay Zafe, Mebratu Getahun, Alena Shama, Adisu Serebe, and Nega Bantihun. My family is from Wolkait. I myself was born in the Wolkait city of Humara. Some of the men arrested are either related to me or close to my family. The chairman, Getachew Ademe, was a student of my father's. Nega Bantihun is my cousin. Their only crime is being Amhara and petitioning the government for the Wolkait region to be rejoined to Amhara state. I have family members who have fled Ethiopia to neighboring countries because they are being hunted down. One escaping with bullet wounds. I have had to collect money to send to these young men who have fled to Sudan, Kenya, and Uganda. It has been both financially and emotionally challenging for us. But Wolkait and Raya Azebo are not the only areas where ethnic cleansing and genocidal acts have been committed against Amharas. We can cite in the areas of Benshangul, West and East Arsi, and Afar between 1990 and 1994, close to 41,800 Amharas were killed and 70,000 Amaras were displaced from their homes. In the areas of Walega, in the year 2000, 1,200 Amaras were killed and 14,000 displaced from their homes. During this atrocity, children were thrown into fire, and a 4-year-old child was forced to drink the blood of her dead father. In Bench Maji in 2015, 600 Amaras were killed and 22,000 Amaras were displaced from their homes. In West Shua, 500 Amaras were displaced in 2015. Since the Amara protest began in 2016, over 227, and these are government-provided numbers, have been killed, but we believe the numbers are much higher. This is just a small sample of the many atrocities committed against Amaras. As stated in the 2007 Ethiopian census that was released, the Amara population was short by 2.5 million. A debate was not even allowed in Parliament when this fact was presented. Some estimates have the number now closer to 5 million. We believe there has been a systematic effort by the government to depopulate the Amara population. Thus, the recent protest by Amaras was not about democracy or economics, but was simply about their identity, their land, and the need to survive as a people. Hundreds have been killed while peacefully protesting. Hundreds of homes burnt by security forces in retaliation against Amaras, and thousands imprisoned. We can never know the exact number killed, wounded, tortured, and arrested unless an independent and transparent investigation is conducted by an international body. When all these horrendous acts of genocide and ethnic cleansing were occurring, the world, including Ethiopian opposition groups, were silent. It is because of this silence the Amara people had no other choice but to organize themselves so they may have a voice. It is because of this silence and the basic need for survival the Amaras farmers in Gondar and Gojam decided to wage an armed struggle. One of the leaders of these brave farmers, Gobe Melki, was lost to Amaras just 2 weeks ago. The Amaras are not the only victims of this brutal regime, of course. We have witnessed the atrocious violence committed against Oromos, where thousands have been killed while peacefully protesting. The Konso people, Anwaks, Afars, Somalis, and I can go on. The TPLF regime's reasons to represent 6% of the Tigray population, while at the same time suppressing the majority Ethiopian population. In the past 26 years, Ethiopia has received over 30 billion from the United States and over 20 billion from our allies. This figure does not take into account the humanitarian aid Ethiopia receives from the US, Europe, and other donor countries. Still, Ethiopia ranks as one of the poorest and corrupt countries in the world. Independent research has revealed a corrupt system whereby 2 to 3 billion annually is leaving the country. Ethiopia is again facing a massive famine, with an estimated 5.6 million Ethiopians requiring emergency food assistance by June 2017. The question Ethiopian Americans are asking is, where is all the US aid going? Where is the accountability from the State Department and European partners? This is not representative of a democratic form of governance, and may even be a failure by our own democratic government to account for taxpayer aid. Unaccountable support of the Ethiopian government does not serve the national security interests of the United States. I am honored today to be accompanied to this hearing by one of my younger brothers, Tirfe, who's a veteran of the United States Marines and who proudly served a tour in Iraq. He was inspired to give back because he valued and wanted to preserve the freedom that he and our parents were afforded as immigrants in this great country. My younger brother, Tirfe, has served in the United States Army. Ethiopian Americans are law-abiding and tax-paying citizens who are proud to be Americans and deeply cherish the security, opportunity, freedom, value of human rights, and representative democracy we have in America. However, we are very disappointed with the US foreign policy that has failed the Ethiopian people and have appeased a brutal regime. As an Ethiopian American-based organization, the Amara Association of America has provided a 14-point recommendation that we believe will ensure our national security interests and move Ethiopia on a path to democracy. Thank you, and I look forward to any questions.